Welcome back to the Middle Easy Fight Fist podcast.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, that is my co-host Luke Juma, and I am, as always, Dan Necklace and Reckless Lamort. It's my new nickname. I'm going with Necklace and Reckless. It sounds, and we're you never intro our guest. You could intro.
This is my first intro. We're in beautiful Long Island interviewing Iaquinta, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, number 10 ranked, if I'm correct.
Number 10 ranked.
Good to have you guys down here.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Welcome back to Long Island.
Yeah,
definitely.
2 times, back-to-back Long Island Fighter episodes.
Yeah, we had Al Jermaine on the last podcast, and Al Jermaine lives here with you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And this time we are not in Weidman's messy office.
No,
so
we're in
it's
a
all
nice
good. We
home.
don't have to deal with his shorts on the table.
Oh, no.
So you're going over there after, right? 7 o'clock, so we got time. So what? Yeah, we'll talk about our weeks. You have a good week? I did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did nothing. You have a good St. Patty's Day? Well, you're close out to a fight, so you can't even party.
I trained in the morning. I took a nap. I woke up. I was going to go back to the gym, and I was just like, I was exhausted. Ray said, dude, you need to relax. I train hard.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault to where...
Because we're less than a month out from the fight.
Yeah, 3 weeks from yesterday.
3 weeks.
So why do you say to a fault?
I get so crazy. I feel like I just don't want anyone working harder than me. So I'll be exhausted, and I'll kind of just try to push through a training session that's just uncalled for. It's almost like diminishing gains, you know.
Really?
Yeah. So Ray pulls me back. It's good. He knows when.
So you really go full throttle.
Yeah, and really, this week is like the hardest week. And then after that, it kind of tapers down and just worry about the weight cut. And
So like,
Why is this-
a week out from the fight is it more about like is the weight cut than it is the actual going?
Yeah.
You're not gonna go that crazy. A
yeah,
week
no,
out.
at that point the training's done. You know, the week of the fight is really just maintenance, keeping everything.
When you get into
in
Brooklyn, you
tune.
go in the day before, or
Yeah, I think I'm gonna probably just play it by ear. I'll probably go in. You have to go in on Tuesday and check in and sign the posters and get your gear and get fitted for everything. So I'll go in on Tuesday. I'll probably come back home till like Thursday night. I'll make weight there and then weigh in Friday and probably stay there until the fight.
Why is this week the hardest?
3 weeks out is usually just, that's when you want the highest intensity. The next week it just starts tapering down from there,
For sure.
2 weeks out. you don't want to push it right up until that last week and
Burn yourself out.
yeah. So I like to even take a few days off here, and even if I take like 2 full days off just to get my body recovered.
For sure.
So, but this week I like usually to be the hardest week, that third week.
Is the weight cut something you struggled with in the past? Like, do you walk around a lot heavier than 55?
Nah, I'm probably one of the smaller 55ers. I walk around.
Cool.
Right now, I'm walking around at I'm waking up in the morning at 170.
Oh, that's not
so
bad.
yeah, I've heard Felder's. He cuts a lot of weight. So I think in some ways that's an advantage for me. Some days it's an advantage for him. But we'll see who kind of uses it better to their advantage.
How much bigger is he than you? Or is he?
He's like 5'11".
Yeah.
And his reach is similar. He doesn't have like a tremendously long reach. I'm guessing he'll have like an inch on the reach.
Yeah.
But I think definitely being the smaller guy, speed, being in better cardio shape, being able to push the pace, being faster, and just really just making him guess.
Yeah.
Getting in
I
his
love
head.
this fight because to me, you're one of my favorite dudes because you're super fuck. You just say what you want. You don't give a shit, which I like. Because I mean, there's some things that I think need to be said sometimes, and then on the flip side, he's being groomed to be one of their announcers
their
or whatever.
guy. Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's fun because it's like it's as much of. Obviously, you were in the UFC, but it's like this fight is like you versus the UFC.
It kind of is, and it's
Because I know you. I read it. You got the contract you wanted.
Yeah.
I read that online.
Yep.
Which is big because I mean you took off 2 years at one point for that reason, right? For contract
injuries, which the injuries led to me starting real estate, which led to me having something to fall back on, and I really didn't have to fight. So it all kind of just worked out to where I was injured, so there was a point where I didn't think I was fighting anymore. You know, so
Yeah.
I kind of just said what I wanted to say, and I was like, I'm not fighting anymore. Fuck it, fuck everybody. And then
That's awesome.
and then
So
I ended up getting the surgery that I needed, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna fight again. So I was like, I got this far, I might as well just fucking keep going with it.
It's
you
so
know?
funny to be like, oh fuck my boss, then still
And
be
then,
like, oh
yeah.
shit, I gotta clock into
No,
work the
no,
next day.
so that's kind of how it went.
That's wild. That'd be like a
Great.
comedian being like, "Fuck Conan, fuck Fallon."
Yeah, then,
Hey,
like,
you
hey,
got.
you wanna
Oh
do
man.
tonight's
All right,
show?
I'm back.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then so it ended up.
I respect it though. Because I mean, there's. And we're not gonna get into
So
it. But
what-
so many of the payment stuff is wild.
So your issues with them were on the contract and payment side?
Well, the first issue was with my surgery. It was my knee surgery. I injured my knee on the Ultimate Fighter. I had surgery, and then I fought however many fights in the UFC after the Ultimate Fighter. I think it was 8 fights or 7 fights, and then my knee was consistently deteriorating. The cartilage in there was not feeling good, and it got to the point where I was supposed to fight Gilbert Melendez, and then he popped for something. So they pulled that fight, and I was like barely making it. I was like hobbling into that fight on fumes.
And this was after the. Who'd you fight before that?
Masvidal. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was before the break.
Yep.
And you beat
Yeah.
Masvidal split. Right?
Yep.
And then Diego was the comeback, right?
Yeah. So they.
That's pretty awesome. You take 2 years off and come back with a first round knockout.
No, it was, and I mean, that's another thing is they knew that, and they didn't give me the bonus after that. So that kind of, hit me the wrong way.
You wanted fight of the night bonus, and they didn't give it to you?
I performance of the night, you know,
Yeah.
for their doctor to tell me that. So I had this surgery. I wanted to have this surgery that I had.
Yeah.
And at first, I wanted to have it at the hospital that I had it at, Hospital Special Surgery in the city's the
That's where
best.
I got my Tommy John surgery.
Exactly.
That being said, I was one of the few it didn't take, but I'm not a good endorsement for this part of.
Yeah, I mean,
that doctor fucked my surgery up.
my surgery didn't go great either.
Yeah,
but that was my last shot. You know,
Yeah.
it was basically, my knee was so bad that I was compensating. I was having neck pains, just turning my head.
People don't
It
realize
was,
what one injury could do to
it
the rest
really
of the
just
body.
threw everything off. So I was like, listen, I need this surgery. I did the research. This is the best guy, and they said, well, you know,
Is
hospital.
it Ahmad, the Yankees guy?
No, it was Riley Williams.
Okay, yeah.
Dr. Williams
Yeah, I went
is.
to Ahmad. He's a great dude, but it just for some reason, like surgeries sometimes don't take.
Yeah, it's
What was the process like back the rehab?
So, well, they didn't want me to have it there. They flew me out to L.A. to have one of their guys look at me, and he wanted me to do stem cells, and I was like, I did the research, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
They did the stem cells, didn't work. 6 months waste. You know,
Jesus.
it was like maybe 3 months something wasted.
I had no idea
So-
they had to say on the medical side of things.
Oh yeah, what they said was hospital special surgery is $60,000 for the surgery. Everywhere else is 20. So we'll pay 20. You got to pick up the rest. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I can't afford to pay for that,
You wanna
and
just
then
pick up $40,000.
and then be out for a certain amount of
Yeah,
time.
be out of work.
So that's when I kind of picked up the real estate thing, and I did the stem cells. I did every possible thing, and then I hooked special surgery up with the UFC. I had this doctor call the UFC doctor, and the UFC doctor told me if I had this surgery, I would never fight again. And so basically,
Not right.
they ended up paying for it. I flew out to Vegas and spoke to Lorenzo Fertitta himself at one of the summits, and he agreed that they would pay for it. They paid for it, and then after a long rehab process, I finally got back in the cage. And contract disputes along the way. At that point, I realized I was like, if I'm going to fight, they wanted me to fight Thiago Alves at MSG for $20,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, go fuck. No, are you kidding me? And then I got to pay tax. So it was like, I think I was on 20. It was 26 and 26.
Pay taxes, pay
Yeah,
what you like
pay,
a manager.
if I
or whatever.
say I lose, say I have to pay taxes, say I have to pay trainers, managers. 26 turns into like $6,000 real quick. And if you lose, you're probably going to get your ass kicked and you're going to be out for a while. If I get hurt, I'm going to be out another 6, so it's like, it just financially doesn't make sense. I started selling real estate. I started doing a little better on that end. I had some money, and then they offered me the Diego Sanchez fight. And I was like, you know what? It seems like a good fight. I always wanted to go to Nashville. That was a huge part of it. Was like where it is.
Nashville is fun.
Nashville is great.
Yeah.
Great time there.
Good food, good music.
Good food, good music, good
Beautiful
people.
women.
There was bachelorette parties, just like parties everywhere.
And they go around on those things in the street.
We did that.
Yeah.
We did that. I was blackout drunk.
Yeah, people get bombed.
This is after the fight, right?
Oh, this is after the fight.
I saw one where it was just they were hooked to the back of a truck in like a hayride. But these people were blacked out and standing up while the truck was going. I was like, this isn't going to end well at all.
Are you a big partier after a fight if you win?
This last fight I was. There was a lot of like I held in. I just needed to let it out, you know. So I just we stayed in. I had like 4 friends go out there. My girlfriend was out there. We stayed there for like 3 or 4 days and just partied our asses off.
Yeah.
And then me and her went to San Diego for my 30th birthday. Was April 30th, which was like a week later. So it was like just a week long party. I would be there, you know.
Well, she got the win in the 30th birthday all in the
yeah.
same.
No, it was
great.
it was
Nashville's a great party city.
Yeah,
too.
it was.
Awesome.
It was good.
Yeah, I've learned that they're really fighters and comedians outside of we're not athletically fit at all, but we party the same and we're kind of similar people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of similarities. There's just something about partying after all of the work is over.
Absolutely.
But then also, do you have it like when you wake up the next day and you're like, well, back to work? It like clicks again.
Yeah. It comes to a point where like, all right, enough's enough.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how it just turns. You're like, well, I got to get back to
Were you
working.
a big partier before you got into fighting? Like,
you know what? Not so much. I guess when I do party, I go crazy, and I really just let it go.
Yeah.
And I get myself in trouble a lot, saying things, doing things that I shouldn't. But I was always wrestling. You know, I was always like.
Did you wrestle in college?
I wrestled at Nassau Community College for 1 year, and then after that, I got into fighting, and it was basically just. I started amateur, and I fought for 2 years amateur, and I was fighting like every weekend. I had 14 MMA amateur fights and like 6 kickboxing fights amateur. So I was just, I was so focused. Partying wasn't really.
How did you transition from wrestling into MMA?
I was wrestling at Nassau Community College, and I was cutting way too much weight. It was just not enjoyable.
Where were you fighting at?
I was wrestling 141.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I was like killing myself.
I don't think I ever walked around at 141. I think I crawled at 141. That was probably crawling.
I'll never see anywhere near that again because that was just unhealthy. I think I fucked myself up doing that. Yeah. But I was just not having fun doing it. You cut weight every week, you know. You wrestling a tournament or a match every week. It was just not fun. And the kids on the team were, it wasn't really like it was kids from all over the place. It wasn't like a real team. Everyone was looking out for themselves. Yeah. And I was dropping down in weight because we didn't have anyone down there. I was like, fuck this. Just didn't really. If I could do it again, I would have went up in weight, and I would have really just enjoyed getting better at wrestling. Yeah, it was basically just a weight cutting season. So my friend was doing this MMA stuff. I was getting into it. I remember watching Pete Sell and Phil Baroni fight, and they were like Long Island guys. And so I went to UFC 53 in Atlantic City.
Wow, 53.
It was Matt Serra fought Cairo Parisian. Nick Diaz fought Koji Oishi. Evan Tanner fought the math teacher. I can't think of his name right now. What's his name? Rich Franklin. Yeah. And Andre Arlovsky fought Justin Isles. It was sick.
What a card.
It was a good card. Looking back, Paul Buentello fought somebody. It was a good night of fights, and I just remember being there and being a little drunk. We had just been, it was like my first time being in that energy, and I was like, I'm fucking doing this. I just knew. I was like, I'm doing this 100%. And one of my friends was training. So the day wrestling season ended, I went to the gym like 2 days later, and I was like, I'm gonna fuck everyone up. I just got done wrestling. I'm in shape. I'm tough, and I got fucked up. I remember my friend Marcel, who I didn't really know too well at the time. He ended up becoming a really good friend of mine. Yeah. Like so many people do in martial arts, you just click with certain people, and he was kicking my leg, and it was fucking killing me. I was like, you know what, fuck this, I'm kicking him back. So I kicked him, and I kicked my foot. I think I broke my foot. It was so swollen. The next week, I was walking on crutches and stuff, and then. I was like, all right, that didn't work. I'm taking him down. So I took him down. I'm freaking armbar. I'm getting choked. So I was like, wow, I'm not as tough as I thought I was. You know, this is actually a lot of I was very humbling, you know.
Yeah.
So I made it a point, and I was at that gym every single day after that. And, I
think that's what clicks. I think that's the sign of a fighter is when they're like, I'm not as good as I thought, and then you either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I think the people at that time decide this is what I'm going to do are the ones who end up number 10 ranked, you know?
Yeah.
So was it a hard learning curve learning striking? Because you started as a wrestler?
No, I mean, I wasn't great at it right off the bat, but I was kind of natural at throwing punches. I did take to it very well, the striking. And the jiu-jitsu, I didn't really like it. I didn't like the idea of being on your back as a wrestler. I was like, fucking, just get up. It's kind of just, to me, it was stupid. And then once I started really learning, it opened up a whole new world to me, and I fell in love with jiu-jitsu just as much. Yeah. It was, and learning wrestling helps you learn, and once you learn how to learn, wrestling. You learn how to learn new moves. So I just adopted that towards jiu-jitsu and the boxing. And I think I learned pretty fast. I had my first amateur fight maybe like 3 months after that, and then I just kept going.
3 months after starting training?
I'm pretty sure it was. Damn, it was crazy. Pretty. But I mean,
were you about 19?
I was 19, and I knew enough stand up to take the guy down, and I knew enough jiu-jitsu to where I could hold him down and not get submitted. And at the time, amateur fighting, it wasn't like it is now. I think it was a different level. Now the amateurs are like the pros were back then. You know,
I have a lot of friends in Jersey with the team I used to fight with who are amateurs, and these guys I would watch from the gym, and I was like, how is that not professional?
Yeah,
These guys, they throw around with the best of them, and I think a lot of guys are waiting a little bit longer to go pro. It seems like, because I have friends who could have went pro and decided to take a few more amateur fights, and I'm like, these guys are fucking talented.
No, absolutely. It's
one of them just won this past weekend at Madison Square Garden. He fought at the Garden.
Nice.
In the theater, the one next.
Yep. Yeah. They're doing shows all over New York now. It's awesome.
Yeah. So did you fight a lot? Did you lose as an amateur or no?
No, I was 14-0 in MMA.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was.
Did you lose kickboxing?
I did a couple exhibition fights where I definitely lost. I got knocked down in one of my first kickboxing fights, but it was an exhibition.
Yeah.
So they didn't count it but as a winner or loss. But I definitely got, I've definitely taken my fair share of ass whippings.
Yeah.
There's a few MMA fights where I was losing and I came back, and third round, thank God, the wrestling, I definitely had a great work ethic.
Yeah.
And I was able to come back in the third round after getting my ass kicked for 2 rounds. So it's not like I just walked through everybody. I had a lot of really tough fights, and I learned a lot about, like you say, these guys that are staying back and kind of taking it more serious in the amateur level. I think that helped me for sure. I progressed a lot more. I think I learned. I made mistakes in amateurs that I don't think I would have been able to make as a pro.
You went into professionals with almost 20 fights then, 14. Yeah.
What was the first promotion you fought for?
I think it was Combat in the Cage.
As a pro?
Oh no. As a pro was Ring of Combat.
Okay.
Ring of Combat in Atlantic City. Yeah.
A lot of the guys
still around.
Started.
Yeah, that's
anyone who's from around
pretty
here
much. Yeah.
That's
combat.
There's
cage fighting Fury.
Yes, CFFC is up there, but yeah, Ring of Combat's that's like the number one.
I got to go to one of those. I've always wanted to go. They're right in AC.
Right at the Trop. It's a good show.
Yeah, I've been to box because my dad he was never a boxer, but he was a sparring partner for professional boxers.
Okay.
So we used to go to a lot of the events, and that was the first time I fell in love with fighting. There's a kid who still fights, young kid from Philly. He's a boxer. His name's Cornflakes.
Okay.
Terrible name. But I was at his fight, and when I was walking to my seat, I'm right here. The ring's right in front of me. The dude on the undercard gets as knocked out as I've ever seen anyone. And when I saw it that close, like where I literally got his lip saliva on me. I was like, I love fighting.
Yeah.
To
That's
see
great.
the knockout that close was just so different because I'd only seen it on TV.
Yep.
And this was just an
it's-
accident where I was walking past the ring.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I saw it when I was at that show in Atlantic City, the UFC.
Because you realize the speed.
Yeah.
I had never.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew fighters were quick, but seeing it in person, it's just to hear the sound. It's just wild.
I remember seeing Matt Serra was in a Parisian guy, Matt Serra in an armbar.
Yeah.
And he just boom, boom. He did that rollout quick, and he was out of there. And you could just tell that he had done that thousands and thousands of times. And then same thing. Rich Franklin threw a combination. It was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
It was like you see it on TV, and it's like, all right, but you see it in person.
Yeah.
It's just so much different.
Because on
And-
TV, you get used to seeing it. It's very rare that you see something new.
Yeah.
Although last year, that Demetrius Johnson throw to the armbar.
That was
crazy.
I never-
insane.
Flew in the air.
That was one of the craziest things. I was like, oh, that's something new.
So this, you're on 223, correct? And
Yeah.
Is this like your biggest fight today? Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna say so. It's definitely, he's up there. I'm gonna say Masvidal and him are probably up there in toughness and stuff like that as far as like level of opponent. But being in Brooklyn is
Yeah, I was gonna say, does the venue,
Yeah.
Barclays, is that
no, that's
anything to it?
that's. I mean, it's just cool. I don't think it's gonna make a difference one way or the other. He's gonna have a lot of
fight
people.
in New York.
Yeah, it's
that's
first
cool.
time. Yeah.
And does it add any? I don't know. Like, does it add any intensity to it that Khabib and Ferguson are in your weight class and they're headlining it, or does that matter at all?
No, I think in my mind, I'm the main event. I don't care. I don't really care about anybody else that night. I'm just worried about myself. It'll be cool afterwards to like see how that fight plays out because I'm a huge fan of the sport. I'm a huge fan of the weight class and seeing those two guys who were supposed to fight so many times.
Do you go out and watch the fight after?
They usually used to let you. Now they just make you. I think they just make you watch it from the locker room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe because you're on the main card. It's different. When last time I was in Brooklyn, I was with Felipe. It was his last fight ever. And
Yeah.
So after he fought, he just came out and sat down. And
Nice.
it was funny how no one really realized that he had just fought.
Yeah. That happened to me a few times. My first couple of fights, I'd go.
This
out
is it because
after.
Chiesa is also on this card, who
Yeah.
you've also fought.
Yep.
That was in the Ultimate Fighter, right?
Yeah. No,
that
it's
season was wild because I think the majority of the 16 that made it are almost all still fighting.
yeah. I think that was as far as like quality of guys on the show. That definitely had top of any season.
The
it
fact that
was
so
tough.
many of them
You-
are still in the UFC.
You
says a
lost
lot.
to Chiesa in the final.
Yeah. Yep.
So how did you get on the Ultimate Fighter in the first place? What was that process like?
I went to a tryout in North Carolina and I made it for season 12, and then I broke my hand like a week before I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So
Who was the season 12 coaches?
was it St. Pierre and Koscheck? I think.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
And you had the Faber year, right? Faber
And then I had
Cruz.
Faber and Cruz.
Yeah.
So once I actually had a loss. That was my first loss in MMA. Was the night I lost that fight. If I would have won that fight, I might have just got pulled into the UFC anyway.
Yeah.
I was on their radar. They knew I was supposed to be on the Ultimate Fighter and whatnot. And I fought Pat Audenwood, who was a huge 55er. He was just a big He was like 6'1", 6'2", and
That's
just
crazy.
big,
Yeah.
And it was a first round. I landed some nice shots and ended up taking. He ended up throwing a kick. I caught it, took him down, and he armbarred me.
Yeah.
And I on the way home from Atlantic City, I think it was either that night or the next day. I remember I texted the production team. And I was hoping they didn't hear about me losing. I was like, hey, it's Al Iaquinta. I was supposed to be on season 12. Do I have to try out again, or what's the process? And they were like, no, you just come out. We'll fly out for the second tryout, the interview. So they flew me out and basically told me I was on.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So and it all works out because I had some fights even after between season 12 and 15. I had in Ring of Combat. I had a couple of wars where. This one kid, Gabriel Miglioli, who's a Brazilian guy. We didn't really know much on him.
Brazilian? I would have guessed super Italian.
yeah.
Yeah.
Miglio.
He might have been an Italian Brazilian. I don't know. But he beat my ass for the first round. And then the second round was close, and then the third round I pulled it out and just out wrestled him.
That's great.
Yeah, it was just a learning. I just learned so much about myself, about how tough overcoming that horrible first round where I got dropped. I didn't even really know where I was. I did an interview after that fight. My face is just like mangled. But they interviewed Ray Longo after, and Ray's just raving about how awesome the fight was and how I really had to dig down deep. And I ended up being the first pick on Uriah Faber's team because they were researching everybody and they saw that interview. They did like a highlight of the fight, and they did an interview with me after. They did an interview with Ray after, and they were like, "Dude, we saw that interview, and if Ray talks about somebody like that, we definitely pick him." So that was really like
shit.
they saw that, and they were like, "Well, that's the reason." And I'm in Vegas at the time. I was 25, 24. I didn't really travel too much at that point. So I was in like a weird spot, and I'm seeing all these guys that look so good. Everybody's like looks tough. You can't really judge a book by its cover, but for him picking me to be the first, it gave me a lot of confidence. You know what I mean?
Sometimes that confidence.
That's great.
It's like, wow, I'm looking at all these guys. I'm like, shit, I hope I don't get picked last. And then I get picked first.
That's fucking awesome.
I was like, all right, fuck yeah, maybe I can win this fucking thing. I knew the whole time that I could.
Did you-
so long.
Exactly.
Did you become close with Faber over the course of?
I did.
Ultimate
I
Fighter?
became, I ended up going after the Ultimate Fighter. I'm good at being coached. I'm good at like learning from new people, and I really. Master Tong was on the show.
Yeah.
Master Tong, me and him got along great. I absorbed so much info from him. Justin Buchholz, Faber, Chad Mendez, Castillo, all these guys. And then at the end of the season, Faber was like, if you ever want to come out to SAC, let me know. You can hang out with me, even stay at my house, whatever. I was like, all right, cool. So one day I hit him up. I was like, I had that surgery that I was telling you about, and I was I wasn't in great shape or anything, but some reason I just went out there. I ended up staying there for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Was this before the Alpha Male days?
No, this was this was right. This was it was right after that Ultimate Fighter show. So it was 2000. Actually, I don't even know what the fuck year it was. I don't know.
I love Faber. He seems like a cool dude, like real down to earth.
He's down to earth, man.
He was one of the big reasons I got into MMA was watching his WEC fights.
Yeah.
I mean, the WEC was so big for me. I loved that.
He was the
shit.
guy in WEC.
He was
Even
the
though
face of that.
Cruz was better, Faber was still the guy.
Yeah.
Faber gave him that loss, man.
Yeah.
Which Cruz never forgot.
I mean,
That's why all that.
No, it was definitely they had some great war. Even the last fight, could have gone either way.
The funny thing about that was that Cruz was, on paper, a better fighter, but for that division, Faber was the most important person.
Yeah.
I mean, he put that on the map when they brought.
I don't know. I don't know if Cruz is definitely considered on paper better. He was,
I would say holding the
he
title
was-
wise.
Oh yeah. Well, he was younger.
I think
and he
diff-
came
primes at different times.
definitely. Definitely hit the primes at different times.
There's no
I
way
mean,
of
Faber
running
held
that.
that belt for a long time, and he was finishing guys. Cruz had a different style. Not he was more outpointing guys, and it's just two different. I think they're just two different. They're both legends. You know what I mean?
Faber's already in the Hall. That's what I like about the UFC. They induct people in the Hall of Fame so quickly.
Yeah.
That's why, because when we had Jimmy on, we were like, what was it like? And he was like, you're in there, and then part of you's like, Faber just threw a punch at me.
Yeah.
It's
That's
gotta-
kind of what it was like for me and Diego. It was insane.
Yeah.
He was on the Ultimate Fighter before I even started training.
No
you
shit.
know, I was watching him on the Ultimate Fighter the first season.
And that was the last fight, right?
What's
That
that?
was your last fight?
Yeah, it was my last fight. It was a year ago.
So if you ideally, outside of the contract stuff, would you be like a 3-time a year fighter? If you like,
I love it, man. I love staying in shape, staying active. Aside from injuries and contract shit, I think I fought Ryan Couture, Piotr Holman, Kevin Lee.
you
All
beat Kevin Lee,
they were
right?
like, I fought them all and then it was like I think it was like once every 2 or 3 months I was fighting. I got 7 fights in a very short amount of time, and then I had the 2 years off. Then Diego, so when I'm healthy and when everything's going good, that opened my eyes a lot to the contract shit. You know, I probably if
What
I
was
would
the
have
fight
been
with that great interview after where you told the crowd, in other words, to go fuck themselves to an extent?
that was no, I told him exactly
Yeah.
that.
That was that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite interviews of all time.
Yeah.
'Cause you got like the blood coming down the one side.
Yeah, it was
What was-
that was the Masvidal fight when it was where it was a split decision.
Was that Nashville?
That was in Fairfax, Virginia.
And you
Fairfax,
won
yeah.
split, and they booed, and you told them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I won and they booed.
It's one of my
They
favorite interviews of all time after
Yeah.
a fight.
It was
what
a
was
good
that
one.
like?
I don't know
One
if
of-
you guys caught the UFC this week at the one in London.
I didn't.
Cajun,
I saw.
Cajun Johnson won a split decision, and they booed him.
Yeah.
And it's funny. He said he basically had the most he had the most polite way to say the same exact thing. It was like the Dr. Jekyll. He was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He was like, "You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. That's not nice to do. we're out here and we give our hearts. We're the best martial artists in the world." And he like explained himself so perfectly. And I was just like, "Fuck you," you know.
That's great.
He
What was so-
basically said the same.
What was
thing.
going through your head when that happened? Were you just like, did you figure they would boo you, or was it a big surprise? And when they
I don't
did you
understand the
immediately
booing.
like commit to being like,
You know,
"Fuck these people, I'm just
I've always watched. I'm a big, huge fan of the fights and stuff, and I've never really. I don't think I've ever. The only time I would ever boo somebody is if like you could just tell they like Caleb Starnes kind of fight when he
Yeah.
just like ran around the cage. It was like
That's boo-worthy
That's like
then,
making
wow.
a mockery of the sport, and
Yeah.
you're not really like trying.
If you guys actually
you're not
go at
trying,
it
yeah.
and
If
have
you're
a
like
real
dude,
fight.
I had a scar on my face. I was freaking exhausted. I left everything I had in there. And I get it. You're maybe not like the decision, or you're booing the judges, but once they say my name and they give me the mic, you got to cheer.
My,
So
my thing has always been, I really think it's people who aren't true fans that boo. Because
Yeah.
anyone who actually understands fighting and is a fan of it doesn't do that.
absolutely, just people that are drunk and just yelling shit. You can see,
Yeah.
And it
see
catches
them.
on 'cause
So
a lot
as
of
soon
people
as-
there are friends of friends. So like, well, if they're booing, I'm going to boo.
Yeah.
So as soon as you grabbed that mic, they started booing. You were kind of like surprised, and you're like, fuck you.
I remember John Anik was in the ring with you, right? His face was so
his
funny.
face. He was like, "Well, what to do now?"
Did the UFC say anything to you after that?
Yeah, it was funny. One of the PR people came up to me afterwards and they were like, this is actually going to be good for you. And it really has been. It's like it's the most honest, thing I think a fighter
I
can
love
do.
That in my head, I always feel like the UFC is the type of people who would try to turn anything the right way.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
that's
But you know what?
exactly-
They really didn't. I thought they were gonna more. When he said that, I was like, oh wow, this could turn out to be good. But they used that against me when they banned me from getting bonuses, and
Yeah, is
that
that
was
up
like
yet, or-
that was like a strike. I
They
don't
banned
know.
you for getting bonuses because
So I cursed out the crowd was the first thing. The second thing was after the Joe Lazone fight, I didn't win a bonus, so I wrecked my hotel room. And
what did you
I just threw and we were hammered. I put it on Instagram or something, and I like tagged Dana in it. I was like bonus something, and then the third thing was I didn't go to the Fighters Summit. There was a Fighters Summit in Vegas, and I called James Kimball, and I was sick, and I had a fight coming up. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm sick. I had like an infection on my face, which was nasty. I didn't want people to like see. I was just like look gross, and it gets your immune system all down and stuff. I was like, "Yo man, I'm really not." And I had a fight coming up 6 weeks later or 5 weeks later. I was like, "I'm not really feeling coming out to Vegas. I think my health comes first." So I told him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, no problem. We do these fighters summits like every 6 months. You just come to the next one." So I was like, "All right, cool." Then it was like the last day of the summit. I live like 5 minutes from the beach. It's basically my backyard. I went to the beach and I posted a picture that I was in the water surfing, and it was like, it's a healthy place to be. The salt water is great for your body. The sun is good for clearing shit up. It's like it was like a good thing rather than being fucking dirty Vegas. You know what I mean?
I mean, flying with an infection on your face would be the worst thing.
Right.
For it.
Yeah.
So I get a
the
call
person next to you.
and he was like, give me a snotty attitude, like, "Oh, you're at the beach? I was like, yeah, I'm in my backyard, bro. What the fuck, you know?
And this was
he was
Kimberly called
like,
you?
yeah. Well, he was texting me, and at the time, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was like up there, and I was like, who the fuck's telling me what to do?
Yeah.
You know, like you're not my dad. You
Yeah.
know, like get the fuck out of here. You know, and I basically
Yeah, that's like you skip school shit. Like, don't treat it like that. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah,
in
and
my
it's like
life.
you told me what the fuck. You told me what it was, so I really did kind of say that. I was being a little snotty to him, but rightfully so, you know. And then he told whoever, told whatever, like, well, now you're banned from bonuses. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? There's guys that do so worse shit. I cursed on the mic, which everyone fucking half the people will do. Which ended up being good for me.
I feel like you should just get extra money if you're legible on the mic. If people could understand what you could say, I feel like you get extra money.
Yeah. I don't know. So that whole thing the whole bonus thing rubbed me wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I love the hotel story that you just went full on
great.
rock star.
That's
It
hilarious.
was some motley.
Where was that from?
That was at the MGM. Yeah.
So you hit him on their home turf.
I hit him on the home, but I will say this: I didn't get charged for anything. Everything I wrecked, I put back in working condition. They didn't charge me for anything.
Really?
Yeah.
I still owe my college money because I put a dart board in our dorm room and they had to repaint the entire room and replace the mirror. I still owe that money.
That's all good fun. Come
You,
on.
Let's talk about the real estate.
Thinking.
You're a real estate agent.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Also, I mean, you being a real estate agent led to a very funny Twitter account. Have you seen that one?
Dude, that guy is great.
He's so funny.
You know what? The
Did
best.
people ever think it was you?
Oh, they do. A lot of people still do.
I was literally looking at it before because someone tagged it in a tweet at me.
So what's
And
what's the handle?
I think it's.
Iaquinta Real Estate.
Yeah.
Iaquinta Realty.
And underneath it, someone was like, "Fuck you, Felder's gonna fuck you up," and I was like, "This isn't even his account."
It's so
they were making
funny.
fun of you for having less than 2,000 followers.
Yeah.
And then they were like, "This isn't his real account."
It's so
so
funny.
funny.
And people sometimes Demetrius Johnson thought it was me. He tweeted something like, if me and Demetrius Johnson did coke and got in car accidents, we'd win more bonuses or something like that. And Demetrius Johnson came up to me one night and he was like, "Yo, man, that was funny," but he was like, "I don't really know if it was like a good idea to tweet that." I was like, "Bro, that's not me." But thank you, because when people think it's me, for you to think I'm that, this guy's intelligent.
Yeah,
this guy is witty
funny.
and quick. And
Have
for
you ever talked to him?
yeah, I did an interview with him. He does podcasts and he does interviews and stuff. He's hysterical. So when people think it's me, it's
It's also funny
it's
because
great.
like they already know you told the crowd to go fuck themselves and that you speak their mind. And you
So
speak
they
your
think-
mind. They
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I can see Al
No,
saying
it's
some
great.
shit like that.
And so people think I'm saying it's not me,
Yeah.
even though it is me, because they want, so I can say what I want and kind of get away with it, you know.
Yeah.
So people think,
They think it's like a master
even
plan.
even though I'm saying no, it's not me, they think no, it is you. You're just saying it's saying it's not you, so that people don't think it's you, and you can say what you want. It's great. Twitter is fucking hysterical.
Yeah, because you get stuff like, and that to me, that's one of the best. Not Dana White's a funny one too, because Dana White just easy to make fun of, and that account rips him up. But that one is really funny. That dude followed me a few weeks ago, and I was looking at.
It's
his
the same.
tweets.
It's the same guy. I think that does the.
Oh, he does the
Dana
not
White.
Dana White one. Oh, so not only is he funny, but he's also smart.
Oh no,
MMA
he's
wise.
great. Yeah. He's real estate. He knows real estate. He knows MMA.
Yeah, he tweet every
It's
now and
great.
then he'll tag one of my tweets, and then he'll just put real estate knowledge underneath it.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "What you tweeted? I don't know any of this shit."
Yeah.
So,
he's good.
You do real estate around here in Long
Yep.
Island?
Yeah, around here, South Shore, Long Island. I just came from an open house before. I crushed it. We had like 30 people come and
That's
and
great.
see the house. Yeah. it
So,
should
has-
sell.
Being a fighter help that?
Yeah, I was just about to ask that.
Are you like a local legend here?
I don't know about local legend. I'd say definitely, like, someone noticed me at the open house. They're like, "Do you look familiar?" I was like, "You watch the fighting," and then it's a good
There you go.
icebreaker.
Yeah.
You know, for people with you have nothing in common with, and they say they can it can be an icebreaker. Being number 10 in the world doesn't hurt you in anything.
No,
So I definitely use that. Definitely in all my listing presentations. If I'm trying to sell a house, if I'm trying to sell somebody on letting me sell their house, I'll definitely let them know. Listen, I have more Twitter followers, I have more Instagram followers than any agent, and a majority
use
of them
everything you can in life.
are Long
Yeah.
Island based.
When I'm at a bar, I leave my verified Twitter account open on my phone. That's my go-to
There you
to
go.
get girls in.
That's
You got to
it.
use it.
Got to use whatever you know.
That's
So
great.
I definitely use it to my advantage, and people, and on the other hand, people just like, they like saying that I'm their real estate agent. That that's the guy fighting on TV. And
is it good for you to have something outside of fighting to do?
oh, absolutely.
So what's your plan? Because Aljamain told us that he doesn't plan to fight for more than another 3.5, 4 years, and that he's going to try to make a run at the belt in that time. And if he doesn't get it,
he also told us you got him into real estate.
Yeah, you got him into real estate. And he says he wants to fight 3.5, 4 more years, make a run at the belt, and then if he gets it or if he doesn't get it, he wants to be out of fighting at 32, 33, and he wants to really go into real estate. That's what he told. So do you have a plan like that? Or a plan for your real estate?
That's where me and Aljo are on different paths.
Yeah.
He's got it all planned out. Me, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing tomorrow. I just
I like
live
that way better.
Yeah, it really
You're
is.
more of a spontaneous
That's the way
person.
that I
You know
live
who
my
Aljo remind me
life
of? You ever
forever.
see the movie Major League?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh man, that's with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
There's a character, Willie Mays Hayes, and he reminds me of a modern version of him where he's got the phone out doing the Instagram.
Oh yeah, he's all about that. He's good with that stuff, man. I don't know. I just it's not
Is it
really
even in your head to stop fighting or no? Just fucking keep going.
Is it in my head?
Yeah.
I'd love to stop fighting.
Really? Why do you
I'm
say that?
fucking crazy, man. I don't know, because I really I enjoy it. I wish I didn't enjoy it, because if I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it, and I'd probably be doing something else where I don't know. It's I have an opportunity. I have a real good opportunity to make a lot of money and accomplish something. I've always wrestling. I never really got to where I thought I could be.
Yeah.
I think fighting, I can. I'm still. Even though I've had a lot of setbacks with injuries and the contract stuff, I'm still in a position to do some good things with fighting. I know. I know. I see these guys. Ray told me this when I first went to his gym. I started at a different gym, and then once I went pro, I went to Ray's, because Ray's, he's the man on the.
Did Sarah used to have a part in that gym, in Ray's gym? Or
No. They both have two separate gyms,
Okay.
but Sarah trained. They've known each other forever.
Sarah also was with trained Weidman at one point. Or
Yeah.
'Cause I know the three
it's
names
the
always
same,
go hand in
same
hand.
team,
Yeah.
two different gyms.
So what did Ray tell you?
He said, Al, half of these guys in the UFC you think are so tough are fucking idiots. He was like, and I saw it in the back. They're mentally, they're like little babies.
That shows you where
you went so far to not say retarded.
They're
that
like,
shows your political correctness was I saw your brain just go what it went through the Rolodex of correct terms.
I really,
They are
just like
baby.
I was about to finish for you. I was going to be retarded.
It really is. They just and I've seen it. Guys that I they just. That's such a big part of the game. Guys that they have all the skills, but they just can't put it together mentally. So many guys are there, and I just know that I have that part together. So I think that I have an advantage over a lot of people. I definitely can mix it up well. My style, I haven't showed people they've seen me fight 90 seconds in the last 4 years. Really,
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So people don't know what I have, what I can do. If you're looking at my old fights, it's really just like an really old version of
Is
me.
it like
so.
comedy where we look back on our old sets? We're like, I could have changed so much.
Oh
of this.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
you get frustrated when watching your old fights.
Yeah. I don't know about frustrated. I think it's like, wow, I'm just so much of a different version of that
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It sucks to watch, but at the same time, it's fun seeing where you've grown.
No, absolutely, and still pick up. I still learn from myself things that you'll forget that you did. You can pick it up and you kind of see. I'll go back and I'll watch some old fights and I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot that I even did that. And bring that back into the mix. I was way more aggressive back then. I was fucking crazy. I watch them and I'm like, yeah, I was nuts. Now I'm a lot more composed. A lot more seasoned. I'm not doing things just to do them. I was just winging punches. Now every punch has a meaning. It's you know what I mean. So it's good like that. But yeah, I forgot what the fuck we were talking about.
No, we were talking about your
Thank God you
plan in
remembered.
fighting.
Oh,
and
the
I
plan.
had no idea where that started.
Nah,
Right? I had no
Oh,
idea.
it went on a good tangent,
Yeah,
man.
it
But
was
you
good.
were basically saying that Aljamain's kind of more of a
Yeah.
Did this start with Aljamain?
This did start with
Yeah, it
Aljo.
did.
Wow.
It
Oh, it started with
Aljo.
realty.
Yep.
So say you beat Felder. Do you have a next fight in mind?
I have no idea,
No?
man. I don't know. It's all gonna be. It's gonna just have to be
McGregor.
how the fight goes. You know what kind of where I'm at. I don't know. I'm winning. I'm winning this fight, and then
You
On
seem
to
like
the
a
next
go
one.
with the flow person.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah.
me who you're gonna throw me, and
that's
I'll
it.
handle it.
Yeah. You know,
Do
something comes up, who knows?
Here's another question I have. Do you, because I think you and we interviewed Jimmy Rivera, Aljamain, and you, and Jimmy and Aljamain both said they've noticed how the UFC really grooms guys to be like their next guy, their
Yeah,
star, or
that's
whatever. Like
always
you
a
see
big
them
thing
doing
on
it
a
right now
podcast.
with O'Malley,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And
so,
I still think Marlon got a lot of it too for
Yeah.
no reason. He came in from World Series of Fighting,
So,
and they
yeah.
promoted him right away.
yeah. Like, you're a great fighter, but obviously you've had, like, and of course you've had the issues with the UFC.
Yeah.
Is there ever, like, a weird thing where you kind of feel, like, I don't know, like a chip on your shoulder or anything like
Oh,
that?
there's
you're not one
I
of
mean,
those-
there's stuff that I'm probably never gonna get over with the UFC. Like the way they treated me when I needed my knee surgery, it was like they threw me to the back. When that doctor said that, I mean, that doctor must have told the UFC that I was like damaged goods,
Yeah.
you know, because they fucking couldn't return a phone call for the life of me.
Yeah.
I was dealing with like, I forget the girl's name, but it was like she was on the bottom of the bottom, and I couldn't get a call back. You know, God forbid Dana calls me like, bro, I fought 7 times for you. I fought 13 weeks on the Ultimate Fighter. Fought 5 times in 13 weeks. Ended up fighting in the finale under my knee was so jacked up that, you know,
People forget that was the first year was live, so you guys were literally
like Dana
fighting
White
almost every
does
other
this,
week.
you know, do you want to be a fighter speech? He doesn't have to tell me that fucking speech. You know what I mean? It's like these guys, you're grooming guys that you have to give that speech to. Fucking dude, give me a little bit. You know what I mean? Give me a little bit, or give me a phone call. You know,
Which makes no
Spoken to
sense
Dana?
because personality-wise, you have what it takes to be pushed.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's just like maybe a little. I think you know what it is. It's like the chicken or the egg. It's like was I treated bad first, or was I treated bad because I did or acted the way I did, and now we just can't come together. You know, but
Dude, is that in your head when you go into fight Felder, since he is a guy that... Because my view is always like... This is in my what I was thinking, that he's one of their guys who they want to be an announcer.
Yeah.
So they're going to want him to win because they don't want a guy who loses to be an announcer.
I think half the UFC staff wants me to win, and I think half the UFC staff wants me to lose. I really do. I think that you know, I think half the UFC staff doesn't like the way things are right now. They wish they could change it, but they're under their little blanket or whatever that they got to do, so they can't.
I mean,
you know
I feel
what I
like
mean?
Dana really rules with an iron fist.
No, for sure.
Although my favorite video was him from that one night of fights where the main event was in the octagon and then he was watching boxing on the screen. There was a
Oh
fight that night
man,
he was
see, but
watching
that's
boxing.
like, it just I don't know.
That was
It
the
just-
night where
It's-
the guy who we were talking, Shane O'Malley, whatever,
Sean O'Malley.
Sean O'Malley, yeah, that he's the guy that they're pushing. I felt, as a fighter, you probably also that last round of that fight, that guy was told not to do what he did there because he could have easily beat O'Malley.
Oh,
I feel
mean,
like someone told him, "Hey, let him."
I don't know.
You think so?
I feel,
Nah, I wouldn't say
if
that.
you're in that though, you could read that the
No
guy's
way.
foot is broken.
I think that guy was just. I think like
I think he was in his head.
he might either he did get fucked up in the first
He was
round,
getting
so
his ass kicked.
he was a little out of it, and he didn't seem like a really bright. He's
Probably
probably
so
like
much easier to
they were
look from
probably
the
like
outside in.
afterwards they probably said to him, "What you shouldn't have taken him down. You should have stood up and you could have finished the fight because he couldn't stand." He was probably like, "Oh yeah, oh okay."
Yeah, just
he
like-
seems like one of those kind of guys, just like
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he like gets the big pay. I really was just. I hope that if on my worst day I would never do that. You know what I mean?
It was
It's just-
interesting to watch because his foot
Oh.
was as broken as could be.
I was so frustrated. I was
Yeah.
sitting here like, oh come on.
I was like, this
Yeah.
the London card. I caught one fight. I forgot who it was, but it was the dude who won the entire fight and then tapped out with 5 seconds left.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I feel like he could have held in for those 5.
Oh, 100%.
do you
5
think maybe
seconds
they
left.
just-
I don't
when you're
know.
in there, do you actually have an idea of the time?
Yeah, you have an idea.
Because I always wonder, because you always, you know what, this one, I never asked any of the people we've had on, you always hear the corners yelling.
Yeah.
How much of that do you actually absorb? Because that's so prominent on the telecast.
It depends. I hear Ray very well.
Yeah.
I hear Ray and Matt very well. They're loud guys.
They both
you
corner
know,
you?
So yeah, they've been every fight.
Has Aljamain ever cornered?
Yeah, he corners most of my fights.
Nice.
Most of my last one.
Is he going to be in Brooklyn?
He is. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I'll be in his corner for his 2 weeks later. I'll be.
We might be in AC. I don't think we're going
Yes.
to Brooklyn. I think we're going to be in AC.
All right. Cool. That'd be good. That'd be good times.
Yeah.
That'd be good times. Yeah, man. I definitely hear Ray and Matt, and depending on how loud the crowd is, but I definitely tune them
It's
in.
always so interesting to me because it's like then the other fighter also hears it. It's got to be such like a mind game of chess to be like, is he going to do what the corner's saying?
No, of course.
Yeah.
And I mean, me and Ray he'll tell me to do something and I'll do like the next step in the
Yeah, you guys have like
he'll
that
be-
understanding.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
definitely it's good.
That was like when I played ball, me and my catcher, because it's the same thing because he's giving you the signs. I knew if he tapped something else, it changed the entire amount of signs.
Yep.
Also, the
You-
best sign ever in baseball is the middle finger. That means hit this guy in the fucking head.
That's
and if you
great.
don't, you're an asshole.
Who do you think's gonna win between Khabib and Tony?
If I had to put money, I'd say Khabib. You
Yeah.
know, he's just been
me
so.
too.
I
He's
do
yeah,
put
the
money.
guy hasn't really.
Yeah.
I don't think he's lost a round in the UFC.
He's unbelievable.
Tony.
I will say this: if Tony has a big Vegas underdog, I will put money on Tony just for shits and gigs.
I think he is. I think it's.
He's gonna be the underdog. I would
Yeah.
say.
If he's over plus 200, I'd put
think-
money
I
on.
think it's close,
The only
yeah.
thing people reference when they talk about Khabib's weaknesses are the one time he got clipped by Michael Johnson, and that
And
was
his liver.
barely anything.
Yeah.
And
he
It was
just-
you. If you rewatch that punch, it's like he got hit with one punch.
Yeah, he got punched.
The guy's
you
a
know?
fucking machine.
Yeah.
Is it weird being in 55 because Connor's got the belt and has had it tied up for so long? Does that kind of add
Does
a
he
weird?
actually have the
another-
belt anymore?
Yes.
I think they're gonna strip him.
They're
this
gonna
fight.
strip
They're
him.
gonna have to strip him soon. I mean,
I,
it's pretty
uh,
But
ridiculous.
this is the most a guy. This is the longest I've ever seen a guy tie up a belt for.
Yeah.
Which is wild because it's also a very strong division.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why I'm wondering because I mean the division's got you, Gagey, Alvarez, Poirier, Khabib, Tony, Connor. I mean it's like it's a stacked division.
Stacked. For me, I'm not really right there yet,
Yeah.
and I've been out so long that I wasn't really like. It doesn't really affect me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm kind of like
You're far enough down,
I'm like
but-
kind of sitting back and watching what's gonna happen, waiting for my shot. But only 1 or 2 fights. If you're in the top 10, you're right there because someone gets in like. Dude, if something happens to one of these 2 guys, I'm the highest ranked guy on this card coming off a win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So something happens to one of these 2 guys. I don't know. If they gave the fight to somebody else, I'd be pretty fucking pissed.
And
So
it
is
is
there a
it is a
chance?
chance with Khabib.
So,
There's always a chance.
Khabib,
So
who
wait.
knows? This sport's so crazy, man.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
So
You
there's
get-
a chance that you go in, one of those guys gets injured, and you get called to fight the guy who's still in the fight instead of fighting Felder. That's a possibility. You're saying?
I don't see why not.
That's
you know?
crazy. Because you'll already
So
be going there.
what
you
was
oughta
that?
be
What's that?
trained.
Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
You're gonna eye Tanya her.
Iaquinta.
Yeah, because Poirier and Gaethje are tied up in their own fight,
Yeah.
which I do think Poirier will win. But
Well,
that's a different story.
if it was like, actually, I don't know. If it was like if it happened now, they'd probably find somebody else just because I don't think they'd want me.
But also, you've been
that.
training for this card, so it would make all of the sense.
Yeah.
That would
you
fuck
know,
this shit up
there's
so
guys.
much,
Oh
dude.
yeah, there's
Can you imagine if you... Because I mean, obviously Connor's a star, but they put a ton of promo behind both Tony and Khabib. If you went in and then beat whoever the guy was...
Khabib
you
gets
had
a lot
to
of
face.
Khabib made his own promo with that hat. Good
Yeah.
move on his
No,
part.
definitely. He's that. You know what? He's just a fun guy to watch in the cage and out of the cage. He's got a little. He's funny. Just even the way he says.
His social
just
media is funny.
You know. I don't really follow his social media too much. But I think just foreigners are kind of like funny.
Yeah.
Just the way,
Yeah.
to being like a foreigner.
To wear
Just
that hat
the things
proudly.
he says, like in his accent, when he says give me 5 minutes rest, I take everybody
Yeah.
in a row. It's like this guy's
He's
fucking
such
crazy.
he's such a perfect villain too, because he's got that thick dagger, Russian
he's
accent.
foreign.
Yeah.
He's scary looking, and
He's
he
like
says
a
stuff
James
like, "I will
Bond
smash
villain."
your son. I will
No.
smash your face."
Yeah,
And he says that
yeah.
shit.
Give me your chicken.
Dude,
give me your chicken.
And when he was beating the shit out of Michael Johnson, talking to him, going, "I need to fight for the title. You know this. I deserve it." Then in between rounds, he's pointing at Dana, going, "I'm gonna smash your boy." He's like, "That
crazy.
was all. That
Crazy.
was amazing."
Nah, it was good.
He's a great villain.
No, it's
With that
it's
being
gonna be
said.
it's gonna be a good fight, man. I'm looking forward to that one because I've been looking forward to it for a while. You know what I mean?
Was there ever a point in time where you were slated to fight McGregor for any reason, or no? Did that never?
You know, no, but he did offer. So I was supposed to fight Joe Proctor, one of my other injuries. Joe Proctor pulled out, and I was going into the fight with I tore something in my knee. I'm like a freaking held together by tape at this point. But I had another knee problem, and I was like, fuck. You know, I don't think I've ever pulled out of a fight. I think usually, the Felder one, but that was a little different.
Yeah. Because you guys were supposed to fight before this.
Yeah, I pulled out like the next day. They kind of pressured me into signing the fight. They're like, well, you got to let us know by this weekend or we're going to give it to somebody else. And I was like, all right, I'll fight him. And then the next day I called them. I was like, you know what? Nah. And they kept me kept me on the card for like a month. And I didn't
just like, what the fuck?
I didn't say anything. I wasn't going to like
Ruffle any
announce that
feathers
I'm
or-
not fighting, but I kind of just like sat back and watched. And I was like, I wonder how long they're going to keep me on that card. And they fucking kept me on until like right before it. It was pretty fucked up. People were still like wishing me good luck the night before the fight. I was like, they pulled me out a month ago, and I pulled myself. I pulled myself out. Like, well, yeah, I should get some fucking ticket sale money. I'm sure somebody bought a ticket to watch me fight.
Yeah.
You know, but
Did they tell you, like, I mean, there's no, I guess, way to find out tickets wise.
no.
They probably have some algorithm that knows some of the draw.
So,
Oh, I'm sure they have that
but you were
old.
supposed to fight Proctor.
Oh, so I was supposed to fight Proctor, and then I like this. We just keep getting on like little tangents.
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, ultimately, it all ties into
It
the
all
same
ties.
stuff.
It all
Yeah.
comes. It all comes back around.
Sure.
But I was supposed to fight Proctor, and then I was like, "Fuck! I'm so hurt." I was like, "This is gonna suck." But Proctor's not really. He's never really taken guys down. So
Yeah.
my plan was just stand up and box, and my knee was good enough to do that. So I thought it was gonna be a boxing fight. But I was stressed. I was like, "Fuck!" You know, I'm hurt. What if he throws a leg kick or something? And then he pulled out of the fight. And then that day, I was like, oh, thank God! All right, I'm out too. Don't bother finding me another opponent. And then McGregor had just won his first fight, and he was like, I'll step in and fight Iaquinta. And I had already pulled out, and I still wouldn't have taken the fight because at that time he wasn't like a money fight. You know, he was like a decent prospect.
Who was his first fight? Brandao?
Yeah. No.
Not Dennis Seaver.
No, it was the black kid with the little eye. Like,
Oh,
like,
I think it starts with an M. Yeah, I remember. He knocked him out in the
he was
first.
from like Tennessee or something.
Yeah, he knocked him out in the first round.
What's that guy's name? I met him in
Brimage, Marcus Brimage.
Marcus Brimage. Yeah, he's a cool dude though.
His
I met
name
him.
just came up again recently. I think it was, I don't know where his name came up. It's just, I'm not sorry to delay this. Brain fart.
Yeah, no, but he was a cool guy, Brimage. I met him in Australia. He was cool.
Have you ever considered fighting featherweight?
Nah, I cut too much weight in college. I'll never do that again.
This is just brutal. What's it like?
For me to go to 45,
Yeah.
That says it all.
this is good enough. You know, I think I think a lot of people focus a lot on their weight cut. The last 3 weeks of their fight is a lot of stressing about what they're eating and their cravings, and they're not. I'm having fun. I'm eating decent. Like I'm not like fucking killing myself. I eat good. I eat healthy anyway. It's not like I'm changing my. It's like my lifestyle.
Eat clean, bro.
I do. Eat Clean Bro is the best. You know, they deliver it right to my house.
My cousin just started a job delivering for them today, so you might see him.
Oh, nice. He'll probably deliver it to you. Yeah.
Did you? What was I gonna ask? What were we just talking about before Eat Clean, bro?
Just featherweight.
Oh yeah, I had this debate last week with Jimmy. Do you think the UFC should move the weigh into the day of the fight? Because some people do come into a fight so much heavier than when they weigh in the day before.
No, I think for the publicity,
That was my big thing. My thing was the publicity. The UFC wouldn't jeopardize that money because even though they don't sell tickets to the weigh-ins, it is still televised.
And
so it's commercial airtime.
It's televised.
And you get a few snip
It
clips.
definitely hypes up the fight. If there's like a crazy weigh-in, the next
like
I'm gonna
Jones,
say,
Cormier.
there's more people are gonna buy the fight. You know, if something happens at the weigh-in.
I never understood the people beating the shit out of each other at a weigh-in when you're going to step in the cage the next day.
Yeah, there was one where he like pushed the guy and the guy fell back. It was in like a weird fight in like Russia or something.
Oh really?
But he got disqualified. I was like, dude, you're gonna fight anyway. What?
Because the Cormier one was
Jones
the same one.
straight up punched Cormier.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
Those two guys
that was
actually hated each
that wasn't the weigh-in. That was
a presser.
That was a presser.
Which is even crazier to fight at a presser.
Yeah.
Because
I guess they had enough energy. They had enough energy to throw down. Usually at the weigh-ins, it's like
we know why John had his energy. But.
Yeah, dude, that shit just sucks, man. That people do that shit.
Especially someone who was considered probably the best mixed martial artist of
generation. It's like there's something wrong with your head. Like you're by far. I could understand if like if I did steroids, it'd be understandable. I'm not the biggest. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the fastest. You know, someone would be like, you know what? He probably needed it. Yeah. But if John Jones is doing it, you're looking at this guy like, what the fuck?
You're
are you
already
doing?
a freak of nature.
Yeah.
How many advantages do you need?
You're
gonna be fine without it.
Maybe he just thought he could. Maybe he's got enough money to where he hired the right people to where
they think he was microdosing it.
That's and it got tainted with whatever. I heard an interview with I forget who was, maybe Joe Rogan was doing it, but yeah. And this guy Marco, you know, I've always like it never really hit home, the steroid thing, but our guy Matt Favola, he lost to that Marco Polo guy from, I think he's a Brazilian guy or whatever. Mexican. He's a Mexican guy. And he just popped for steroids. And it's like, I don't know, man.
Didn't Volante also pop? But it wasn't steroids, right?
No.
Didn't he get in trouble for a supplement?
Volante?
Yeah, not Volante. Who was it?
No,
it wasn't Volante. It was the Jersey cat. Not Volante. Who's the Jersey fighter? Fights out of Tiger Schulman as well. Not Shane and not Jimmy.
Lyman Good.
Lyman, yeah, he popped for something, and apparently he wasn't even taking steroids.
I don't know, man. If you're like, I don't.
I'm from the baseball world, so I've been around. I mean,
well, you're either cheating or you're stupid.
You're exactly right. You're either
is it
cheating or
fighting, actually?
Is it prominent?
Yeah, like,
definitely.
Like in the amateur ranks.
I'm gonna say so. I'm gonna say definitely. I'm gonna
say
more.
My college baseball team out of 25 players, I would say a solid 15 of them. I was one of the few people who wasn't on it.
Yeah.
Were just some type of steroid, mostly oral stuff.
You know, I've never been offered it. I've never seen it like in person. I've never like been around it, but they're just seeing like this guy. He just popped for steroids. He fought our guy Favola.
Yeah.
And it never really hits home until like he lost that fight. And he really took it hard on himself. You know, it was like his UFC debut. It was a big fight. He got knocked out, and then so they didn't drug test at the fight. That fight.
Really?
Yeah, he said he didn't get drug tested. So I'm guessing the other guy. So it was the kind of thing like he got tested after the fight, but he didn't get tested. So he.
I always pictured USADA just be waiting in there for the cup.
Most of the time it is. It's like you arrive and they sometimes they test random people
and they fully watch it, right? They watch the clock and everything.
Yeah, it's awkward. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like you said, you're either cheating or you're stupid.
Did that fight end in a no contest then, since he got popped?
No, he popped in a random drug test, maybe 2 weeks after the fight.
He was cycling it.
Which
it
was after the fight, so they're probably not going to overturn anything.
Yeah, but I mean, if he had it in the system 2 weeks after, that means at the fight he probably had it in there.
I hope that they can. Whatever scientific way they do whatever it is, that they can figure out if it was
that's
before.
just a fucking dick. Well, I mean, we saw what happened with Lesnar and Hunt. I mean, Hunt was going to take that to court.
Dude, and he should that's bullshit. Like, how does that?
They're saying he's going to come back again, Lesnar. I was like, how many chances are you going to give this dude?
Well, they need money, so they're going to.
Yeah, everyone wants to see the Lesnar John Jones fight, which I think would be over pretty quickly. Unless Hunt, I mean Lesnar against Hunt, he held him down so well. He looked good in that fight.
Yeah, I don't know if
When he doesn't get tagged, he's good, Lesnar.
Did you? Did you? What made you want to train at Weidman's gym?
I was training at Militage, had an affiliate gym out here, and I was training there. I had a bunch of good amateur fighters. You know, I was kind of like the top dog out of all the amateurs.
Yeah.
So I was like, wanted to go pro, and I was getting sparring at Ray's gym. So I was once a week going over there and sparring with Soteropoulos at the time, was one of the top 55ers. And I just saw, I saw what went on there. I saw Ray and Matt were like the guys that knew how to get to the pro level, knew how to get from the pros to the UFC, and it was really like a no-brainer. But I was still loyal to the guy that I was with. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to train, do my sparring at Ray's, and then go back and forth. And then he, like, fucked me over with some business-wise. And I was like, you know what, I'm loyal to you for why. I'm out. You know?
So much fun when they give you the reason to leave.
It really
when you
was.
Get the reason to go, and you're like, I was waiting for this.
Yeah,
for,
it was. I had thought about it for a while. And
did you ever consider trying to train at Alpha Male?
I considered it, like, a little bit. But like I said, I'd always be loyal to Ray and Matt, you know.
I can't
would
picture
go
you
out there.
in California. You're such a New York type guy.
Yeah, totally.
To be honest with you, Sacramento is not enough like California for me. I like San Diego.
Yeah,
I like Sacramento still got a little grit in it.
Yeah, there's not like if I'm gonna move there, it's gonna be like to the beach. Like
I could see because you got the surf poster right
yeah,
here.
we're like people don't realize Long Island is like it's like a little bit of San Diego right here in the summer. You know, in the summer it's like paradise. It's I'm sure like the Jersey Shore.
I always thought when people shit on the shore, I'm like, come down in the summer and you will not say
that's
any of that
exactly.
Shit.
It's
nothing beats water, man.
It really is the summer, the sand, the beach.
This has like a bungalow feel. Your house.
Yeah. It's this is surf probably more than any of those guys in Sacramento do. I don't think. Yeah, you know what they do go to? There's where is it by the San Francisco? Something by the bridge there. They surf, but even then, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just thinking about moving right now. Where I'd move to.
Do you want to move after you're done fighting, or?
No, my roots are here. Yeah. My family's here. I want to. You know what I do want to do? I want to live here for 6 months, and then when it gets cold, I want to go to Australia for 6 months. Because in Australia, it's the summer when it's the winter, so it would be the endless.
Like the ultimate bi-coastal.
Yeah, it would be the endless.
Real estate in Australia.
I don't know. I got to figure something out, man. How can I live 6 months? I went. So I fought Ross Pearson in Australia, and that was in like November, so it was cold here. We left, and then me and Aljo, we went with another Johnny Bowman, who's another fighter from our gym, and I fought, and then we just chilled there for like 3 weeks after, and it was like into December, summer, you know?
Yeah.
It was great. And then last year, I had the knee surgery, like I was recovering from that, and the real estate is kind of dead in like January. People aren't snow and cold, and people aren't really moving.
That's
so I was like,
stand up January, February.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the dead season. So I was twiddling my thumbs. I had no fight. I had no real estate thing. So I was like, fuck this. I emailed a bunch of people that I met when I was in Australia. Yeah. I was like, you want me to do a seminar? I wouldn't be opposed to coming out to Australia. So I made it pay for itself, and I just went out there for like I went there.
A paid vacation.
Yeah, I went out there for like 4 weeks. I got paid. I made a little bit of money, but I had my flight was paid for. My hotel, I stayed in Airbnbs. I just like bounced around backpacking.
That's
basically.
a smart way to do it.
I stayed in a hostel. It was like a great experience.
People shit on me for saying it. I love a hostel.
No, it was good.
As a traveler, it's great because you're with so many other people that are traveling. You learn where the cool shit is.
Meet people.
You get some assholes. I had one who always because I would be the last one in because I would be doing shows. So I'd come back to the hostel. I put the AC on 68 because that's a nice temperature to sleep in.
Yeah.
And then I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and he was from Germany. He'd crank it up to about 85, which is intense for an inside thermostat. And for a week straight, we were just battling back and forth. We'd wake up when he'd fall back asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you get like 16 people in a room at some of them. I paid extra money and it just got me in a room with 4 people. Which was
I did
doable.
the same thing.
The
I
4
did
people
the first.
I don't mind 4 people.
Yeah, no, the first night I walked in the room, and in Australia it was like 100 degrees, and there was no AC.
I
There was,
can't do it anymore now
fans
because
and stuff.
I have sleep apnea since I'm fat. So
Do you?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
We gotta
anything.
get you in the
besides being
gym,
fat.
bro. We gotta get you in the gym.
Well, what happened was I was actually training. Well, while I was, like I said, I was a college baseball player. Then I got heavy, and then I was actually doing an article for Middle Easy called "Fat to Fit to Fighter," where I was going to get in fighting shape, then actually fight a fight. But then I got in like 2 really bad car accidents, got a bad brain
shit.
injury. So my doctor said not to get hit in the head anymore.
Okay, yeah, that'll do. That's a good.
Once he said that, I was like, "You telling me I don't got to work out anymore?" It's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." Maybe one day, my dad loves fighting, so maybe I will come out here. We'll pay for a private lesson. Me and my old man. We'll get in the
dude,
garage.
hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. We're definitely
Yeah,
at our
man.
time. Do you have anything you want to plug? Besides, I mean, you got the fight 223 in Barclays in Brooklyn.
Iaquinta Real Estate on Twitter.
Real estate, real estate on Twitter. You can hit me up.
All complaints go to that account.
Yeah.
What's your social media?
At Iaquinta, Instagram, Twitter, at Iaquinta, homeknockout.com if you want to sell your house. Anywhere. I can help you out anywhere in the country. I do great referrals. I know the best agents wherever you live. I can refer them to you, and I get a little cut out of the commission. So hook me up.
Do you have any
and I'll
local
hook you
commercials?
and I'll hook you up. What's that?
Do you have any local commercials for your real estate?
I do.
Do you really?
That's great.
I do.
That's awesome.
I sold Tom a house right like a couple blocks away, and we did an interview of him. I go, what do I say? I forget what I said, but it was.
Come on down.
It is my duty as your real estate agent, something like that.
But, and as always, I'm Luke Tuma. You can find me on Twitter at Luke Tuma, LUKETOUMA, on Instagram at Luke.Tuma, LUKE.TOUMA.
I am at Dan Lamort, DANLAMORTE. If you're listening to this the day it releases, I will be at the Underground Comedy Festival in Washington, D.C. at the Big Hunt. And if not, May 22nd to 27th at Zany's in Chicago. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Al. Thanks for listening. As always, like, subscribe, all that good shit. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Peace.